hate to do this to you, but there's one thing that I think that I need to warn you about. And maybe I'll give you a few of these problems. There isn't really a good trick for this. Um, it's just, there isn't really a good trick for this. Maybe the best way to do this is just to do a bunch of these problems. And like I said, this game is just guess and check. So maybe you might need to guess a bunch of things and then check them all out. I don't even, when I approach these types of problems, I don't even know a trick for them. I just guess and check. What I mean by guess and check is you make your two parentheses and then you guess what you think the number should go in there using educated, guesses and whatnot. And then you just float it out and see if you got the right answer. Okay? What I mean by that is this. On every single one of these problems, we've had an x squared plus some number times x plus some number. Or it could be minus some number times x. But really the point I'm trying to make is on every single one of these problems, there's been a 1 out in front that I haven't even been writing because I'm just too darn lazy. You notice that? And when I make the parentheses, I already start off with an x and an x. Right? That doesn't need to be the case. There could be a number out in front, like a 4. That will change this, and you can't just assume that there's an x and an x here, because this number times that number has to give you that number. So what you have to do is you have to basically come up with, well, what numbers can I put in there so that it multiplies out to 4? So you could do this. You could say 4x and an x, because 4x times x is 4x squared. Right? No, you can't pull the 4 out. You can pull the 4 out if you could pull the 4 out of this and the 4 out of that. That would be factoring out the greatest common factor. That's what we did here. We pulled the 3 out of everything. But for this one, and I'll show you what I mean, but for this one, you need to account for that 4. Let me show you guys a little bit more. Again, I'm going to show you guys factoring, but before I show you factoring, let me FOIL out a few things for you. 2x plus 7, x minus 2. Foiling that becomes first times the first, so the 2x times x is 2x squared. Not too complicated, right? All right. Outers times outers is negative 4x. Inner times inners is positive 7x, and the last times the last is negative 14. Cool? So that would be 2x squared plus 3x minus 14. Okay? Now, if I were to give you the opposite problem, if I were to say, okay, well, let's reverse that. I give you this trinomial. That is not an efficient way to erase things. I gave you this trinomial, and I say, factor that. Like I said, it's a little harder. I mean, we already know the answer. It's right there. Right? I know that because that's how I got that trinomial. But if I were to factor this, I would have to do this. 2x and an x. I definitely would have to have 2x and an x. Or I could have x and 2x. It actually doesn't really matter in that case, right? Because they need to multiply out to be 2x squared. We cool? You still need to choose numbers that multiply out to be 14. So we can go 7 and 2, or 1 and 14, that kind of stuff. We can try, and I know that it's going to be a plus and a minus like this, right? Or a minus and a plus. Same trick. That negative right there tells me that. Okay. But here's the harder part is, like, I want to have, which do I choose to make the number 3? And you think to yourself, wait a second, 7 times 2, or 7 and 2 would be a pair that I could use, right? But that doesn't add to 3. Like 7 and 2 adds to 5, or 9, but it doesn't add to 3. But you need to remember to take into account that extra 2 there. So watch, if I put a 7 over here and a 2 over here, I'm just guessing. Or maybe I put a 2 over here, or 7 over here and a 2 over here. Let's FOIL this out and check to see if that works. This would be 2x squared. This would be, the outers would be 2x. The inners would be negative 14x, right? And the last would be negative 14. So that would be 2x squared minus 3x. No, not minus 3x. What am I talking about? That would be minus 12x minus 14. That's not the same. That's not good. So I know that this is wrong. So what would I do? Well, to be honest with you, I tried negative 7, positive 2. Why don't I try negative 2, positive 7? You know what I mean? Like I said, this process is just guessing and checking this painful thing. Alright, so that would be 2x squared. The outers would be 7x. The inners would be negative 4x. And the last would be negative 14. 7x minus 4x is 3x. Good. Then this is my answer. Like I said, this game is going to, if there's a number out in front over here, the game really becomes guess and check. And it's not pure guess and check. I'm not just throwing in random numbers, but I will probably have to do a few guesses for them in order to get the right answer. I think that, to be honest with you, I actually know how to do this a quick way, but it's only because I've seen so many of these problems, and I can do a lot of these multiplications and additions in my head, that teaching you that trick would probably confuse you more than just having you guess and check it. And if you want to get to that level and get to that trick, then do 100 of these problems.